Welcome to another demonstration on using Microsoft Excel. This demonstration will take you through the steps of how to create a chart. So let's get started in creating a chart. And we're actually going to go straight to our data set that I have available here of data that is already plotted in. And if you would like information on how to include data, how to edit it, how to add clip art, or even how to include formulas, go and look at the other tutorials that are available on my page. Now, when creating a chart, the first thing you need to do is select the data that you would like to graph. And in this case, I only want to show each quarter and the clinical areas that are showing the reimbursement for each of those clinical areas. The first thing you would do is select the data. So the data is now selected, that is shaded in gray. I will then go to Insert, and when you click Insert, you have the option of charts here. There are several ways of how you can select a chart. You can select from your options that are on the ribbon of the Insert tab. You can also select the drop-down arrow and you will get a dialog box that comes up of recommended charts, or you can click all charts and get all of the charts that are available. The neat thing that happens with the dialog box is if you scroll over, you're able to see how the data will be plotted if you choose that chart. There's 3 ways to do everything within Excel. Another way to plot a chart and insert it within your worksheet is to right click. If you right click, you could go to Insert. Down here, let's see, you could go to the Quick Analysis. Okay, so remember our Quick Analysis tool. Once you click that, you can go to Charts, and then you also have the option to select any of the charts from here. Okay, so there are several ways of how you can insert a chart. So I'm just going to select one. Okay, here's our Quick Analysis tool again. I'm just going to go up here and I'm going to select a chart. I'm going to choose a bar chart. Okay, notice how the numbers are here, and we're going to switch this around. So something else that you can do once you have selected a chart is actually move it around in your worksheet. How you would do that is just click on the actual chart and just move your cursor around and drop it wherever you would like it on your worksheet. Once your chart is highlighted, notice how wherever your data was selected from, it is going to be shaded to show that that plot area is included, this data here of your 4 quarters and your clinical area. Now, once your data is selected, you're going to get a Chart Tools tab, which has a Design as well as a Format tab. The Design tab allows you to choose the different chart styles if you would like to change it. For example, if you go within that area and just kind of select some of the predefined styles that are there, notice how it will change the actual style of your chart that you had plotted. So if it's something that you don't want, you don't like it, you could just go to Undo on your Quick Access toolbar, and it'll take it back to its original format. Now, what if you don't like the chart style altogether and you want to change the chart type? Okay, so I don't want the horizontal or the vertical bars. I want it in a different way. You can go to, on your Chart Tools Design, go to your Change Chart Type. Notice this is our dialog box with all of our charts. So I'm going to go back up to Column, and I'm going to go ahead and select a cluster column and click OK. Once I click that, notice how my chart then appears of the new one that I have selected. So I'm going to minimize my screen so you can see both my chart as well as my table of data. Some other features that are important to note that what if I want to actually change the colors of my data? So anytime you have a group of data that is comparing to each other, that is called a cluster of data. And that cluster of data is known as a data series. So if you wanted to change the color scheme that is within your chart, you always can go on your Design tab, go to Change Colors, and then you'll get the option to change the colors to your choice. And just by scrolling over the color palettes that are available, you're able to see how that will change the scheme of the colors within your table. The other thing to note is being able to add additional elements to your chart. You always should have a chart title. So in this case, you can just double click within that title and actually change it. And I'm just going to put in quarterly data. Once you do that, you have your legend that is here that is specifying what each of these colored bars mean. And once you click on your data, notice how you get other chart options of a window that actually popped up on the side. It's actually called a navigation pane. And it allows you to then, if you want to fill in a color, if you want to add a border to your chart, you have the ability to do all of that here in this area. If you don't want to view that, you can always click the X and it'll go away. Notice again, okay, so remember, it's 3 ways to do everything. When your chart is selected, you have a couple of options that appear. You have a plus sign, and that plus sign is saying, well, what data elements do you want? Chart elements would you like? We have a title. You can have data labels, which will actually show you the values of each of the bars. Notice how it gets a little busy, so maybe you don't want that. Maybe you would rather show those values in a table below. It shows you what that would look like. You also could get rid of the grid lines if you don't want the grid lines to show within your plot area, or you can put it back. Something else you can add is something called your axis titles. So it allows you then to title what the data is on your horizontal axis, or even if you would not like it or not. Okay, so to give you both on your X and your Y axis those titles. And you have the ability then to just click within there and actually put in a title of your data. You would like your chart to be as explicit as possible so that a person that is looking at your chart can understand what is actually being plotted. So that's another feature, being able to do that. And once you do that, you have the ability to move it around anywhere you would like just by clicking on that text box and then moving that data around. Something else that is available is going to be your format, and here you actually can add a word style, a word art style to your title if you choose. That is already predefined. You could fill in a color if that's what you would like to do. You have all of that on this format tab to change it any way that you would like. You also can put something in called a text annotation. And that would allow you to put in additional information about maybe this chart. It will start off as a text box, and I'm just going to put information in here. Once you type that in, you're able then to click on this text box and move it around. If it's a special note that you wanted to add to your chart, you could do that just by inserting a text box and putting it within your table anywhere you would like for it to go. The other neat thing about making charts within Excel is the ability to move it on its own worksheet. So how you would do that would be just to click on your chart, right click, okay, and we could have here move chart. Once you click that, it'll say, well, where do you want it to move? Do you want it within the sheet you're in? And you can say, no, I actually want it on its own sheet, and I'm going to title it quarterly data. Once you do that and you click OK, notice how it puts the chart on its own sheet, worksheet. So if we go back to our data table, notice that that is not there anymore. But then notice our text box is not where we would like it. So a lot of times you could just then cut that, go back to wherever your data is now plotted, and then you can just paste it back in. Okay? Easy fix. Everything cut and paste, you're able to do that. So here, if I wanted to make any changes, notice I still have the ability to make changes, format it, and do anything that I would like to do. And my data is still going to be here of where I got the data from in order to plot my chart. Okay? So notice how you can just move things around. The other neat thing to note is if you select within your plot area, okay, so notice that's my chart being selected, but if I select within my plot area, I have the ability to move, okay, and adjust things the way that I want in order to make it more appeasing to the eye for my audience. You can create as many charts as you like. So if we actually go back, okay, and I'm just going to select the first quarter data. This time I'm going to create a pie chart. Okay, so I'm just going to select pie chart, move it so I can see it. And here again is a pie chart. If I want to add some things to my pie chart, here is where I can do my styles, either here or on my ribbon. If I want to add something called data labels, since this is a pie chart, I'm able to do that, and it'll plot those numbers out, those totals for each quarter, for each of the clinics for the first quarter, excuse me. And then I'm even able to adjust how I would like my data to be displayed within my pie chart. So versus all of my data being on the inside, I can select that and move it out. And notice once you move your data around, I can even split out a certain area if I want that to just be displayed this way. Or I can select the data label. Okay, so that's what it's called. Move that out, and it allows me to then show specifically where these values are associated with which color that is aligned to my legend that's down below. I also have the ability to move my legend around. So if you don't want it at the bottom, you can just highlight your legend, right click. You then can click Format Legend, and it allows you then to select if you want it at the top, okay, at the left, the right. You have the ability to select that here on the Format Legend option. Okay, so a lot of neat things to do, and if you wanted this one on its own sheet again, you could just right click, you can go Move Chart, select it on a new sheet, and this time I'm just going to label it as pie, click OK, and then notice now we have two worksheets, and each of those worksheets include its own tab for the chart. And you can create a chart pretty much for any of the data. It all starts by selecting your data range.